And let me see. So he took the time to look at my book, and 20 minutes later, all right, I'm gonna give you a shot, kid. I'm gonna give you some background paintings. And he was working on some shorts for Hanna-Barbera, which became Cartoon Network, which has turned into kind of a monster of its own. But he was doing these shorts that were crazy, and I did a couple background paintings. Next thing I know, I'm driving up to his house in upstate New York, and we're like best buddies, like Uncle Ralph taking care of this, little kid. And I'm buying smokes for him. I don't smoke, but it felt cool, to go out and buy smokes for this guy. And the ultimate treasure here was that he had a project that he was starting with HBO called Spicy City, which not many people know about, but it was a 6-part sci-fi series, kind of Blade Runner-esque, but done in the Bakshi style, which is kind of rubbery and cartoony. And he's, Vox, I need you to develop stuff for this, pitching to HBO. So I do some drawings, there are a couple other people I'm working with, and when it was all said and done, the show was sold to HBO, and he presented this offer. He said, I spent, 15, 20 years in California. I hate it. I fucking hate it. I'm not going back. But if you want to go, I'll put in a good word for you. So he put in a good word for you. Next thing I know, I'm coming out here in '96, dragging my fiance at the time, who's now my wife. I said, let's try it for 2 years. And it's been 16, 15, something like that. But that was my first big break. Somebody gave me a shot, and it all came out of like persistence, and my father giving me a good nudge. Get out of the car, take your book, get some work. And some nuts, But, since then I've worked on a lot of great stuff, and a lot of not so great stuff. But right now I'm on Family Guy, and that's presented some cool opportunities as well. And the show that was being referred to actually was supposed to air Sunday. All 3 episodes of Seth MacFarlane's, we got the Cleveland, the American Dad, and Family Guy are affected by a hurricane that's moving up the coast. And that was supposed to air Sunday, but because of all the tragedy going on down south, Fox has decided to air it later. So I've been firing out the word for the past week and a half, saying this Sunday, it's it. I've been working on this thing for a year. It's only 3 minutes long, but it's pure me. The studio was supportive, and it's Brian going on a weird little adventure in my kind of painting world. That's another side.
Show them what your painting style looks like.
Yeah, that's good.
We have a couple giveaways too, so.
But
so you want to explain what this is?
Well, I've worked on the show for 7 years, and over the course of the 7 years, they do these like gallery events where they'd ask artists that are internal, and then artists that are kind of prominent to interpret the Family Guy characters and their own vision. So I've done this. I don't know how well you can see this, but it's kind of terrifying to do. And so this was just a little side project. Apparently this is touring the world right now. I'll never see it again. But I have prints. We work in a cool office where the writers and the artists work together. We don't necessarily sit in the same rooms, but we interact. They play video games at lunch. We laugh and do things as a group. Whereas on like The Simpsons, things like that, the writers and the artists don't even know each other. Maybe a name on the screen, that's about all you get. So we've had this nice relationship where the writers get to know the artists, and they get to know the artists outside of their own little, world of storyboarding or whatever you provide for the show. And the writers noticed my weird painting world and gave me an opportunity to kind of write and direct this weird little bit. So.
Joe, you also you do the Star Wars paintings, right?
Yeah, I'm a director now, so I mean it's just a lot of drawing.
Well, you did the Star Wars covers, right?
I did paint all 3 Star Wars Family Guy covers, which was quite an honor, but not the ones that are represented on the card that you guys are probably looking at. Those are digital. The Rock Band doesn't care; they're gone.
What about you, John?
John, bring him back. Here we go.
It can be your first break or any other anecdote you might feel like sharing.
Let's see. Well, I originally went to school to be a painter. I went to the Art Institute of Chicago, and then started learning about film and video and performance art, whatever, performance art. I just looked at it like weird one-person theater weirdness. You can just make stuff up and do cool stuff. It wasn't about like being in the corner of a room crying and throwing rocks or peeing in a cup and smashing it. Sometimes it is though. Performances is very wide open. Sticking yams up your butt. So I went to school.
Hey!
The kids know what I'm talking about. Karen Finley. Look it up. Gonna get all snotty and elitist right now. So anyway, I was at this art school and getting into writing weird chemical poetry, taking a lot of drugs, doing cool weird art stuff. And then I graduated and learned you make zero money doing any of that kind of cool stuff. Started performing in front of a bunch of bands, and a bunch of the people I went to school with were doing these music videos, and they did the first two music videos for Ministry, which I don't know if you guys remember those very first two, like when Ministry went like metal. So, Jesus Built My Hot Rod, and then it was like Stigmata, a bunch of those that were on 120 minutes. And then this band called 9 Inch Nails, they were like, oh, we're gonna do this band from Cleveland. And so I was like, they were like, hey, can we shoot this video at your house? Because I had this really cool roof and a lot of weird, like kind of industrial shit. And I was like, yeah, whatever, give me $300. So I remember I was watching Seven Samurai, and like Trent Reznor and the other two dudes, the guy from Filter and some other dude, were like standing around. I was like, can you get out of my way, man? Like they were just walking into my living room. And I was kind of a dick about it, but later on hung out, and they were really nice. So if you see that video, it's called Down in It. It features my roof. And all the shots of him like he's trying to trip is actually like just like not really dangerous. It was just like a second level, So it's not dangerous at all, in case you guys ever really gave a fuck about that. But so anyway, I started working for my friends who were making a shit ton of money all of a sudden after that 9 Inch Nails video came out. Then they did Head Like a Hole, which I was there for, but it's like, like the Terror Dome, where it's just you can't see anybody but like shadows. But it was fun to watch him hang upside down for like 10 hours with videotape. It's this thing that people used to use back in the 90s. So I started working for them, and they were like, yo, Schnapp, didn't you like study like weird experimental animation and stuff like that? Why don't you like do, they had this thing called a copy stand where you would like manipulate objects and then take a frame and then do something else, maybe draw something, splash some paint there. Kind of like this primitive kind of animation technique. And I was like, I can actually also draw. So you want me to draw some shit, And they're like, yeah, because these guys were all like, yeah, just film something, we'll turn it negative. It was that kind of, they were great guys. I'm just saying, it was like that kind of thing. So I started drawing, and they're like, hey dude, you know how to draw. Like not just like do like weird compositing stuff. So they gave me a job for a James Bond Jr. They were doing these commercials at Cartoon Network, and this was a few years later, after I'd built a bunch of like, water, oil stuff, just to be in like a hump for $100 a day kind of stuff. And I acted. I'm in the Ozzy Osbourne video as a doctor. If you look it up, it's Infectious Grooves Therapy. You'll see my dumbass 20 years ago. Like electrocuting Mike Muir behind Ozzy. So that's one of my most awesome things that I've ever done in my life. And the rest has been downhill. So I started directing cartoons, and I learned how to edit by making, I actually met Ken around that time period, like between 92, 93, 94. I was
one of my first jobs.
Yes, but I know him through one of my ex-girlfriends, Kim. I don't talk to her, but she's in North Carolina if you guys want to find her. She's
doing real well.
No love, full love, whatever. She was cool. My new girlfriend's cooler. So smarter. Yeah, it's fucking smart, man. So anyway, I got into doing animation, and we ended up doing a bunch of different crazy stuff, and I moved here to California in like 98, and I remember, this is one good thing to remember. It was like, I don't want to stray off point too much. I was in line at, they used to have these animation conventions here in Pasadena, or not here, but in Pasadena. It was like the animation celebration. Did you guys ever go to those?
Yeah.
Okay. Blank stares from the audience. What are you talking about? This was a long time ago. Like 10 years ago. So I was in line, and I was trying to get into this party, and I knew I wasn't on the list. And as we get forward, closer and closer, I was like, I'm just gonna fucking lie to the people at the I was like, yeah. And so I got up there, I was like, yeah, it's Schnapp. It's right next to Spielberg, look it up. And they were like, you're not on the list. Or I was like, well, there's obviously some kind of crazy mistake. I'm working on all these cool things, so can I talk to your manager or whatever? And then they were like, well, we don't have a manager. I was like, look, how much is it to get in? And So they're like, it's $100 to get in. So I was like, I had just gone to the bank and had like a couple of $100 bills with me. And these guys who were behind me were kind of laughing because I was just kind of making fun of the whole situation. So I was like, yo, I got lots of hundreds, you know, here, check it out. And so she like held it up and was like, yeah, like, I was like, it's real, you know? So then everybody started laughing. So she was like, well, you and your friend can get in for half price. So we got in, went to the bar, and then these three guys came up behind me and were like, hey, you're really funny, right? So I was like, hi. And there were these three guys from Canada, and they called themselves the Membranes. There's these three dudes. And so I hung out with them for like an hour or so. We just cracked jokes and stuff. And they were there to pitch shows or whatever. That's what you do at the Pasadena Animation Celebration. Go there, get drunk, meet people, talk about shit, and go back home, do whatever else you were doing.
By the way, drugs and alcohol are not necessarily, necessary for achieving your dream.
No, but they help.
They do help.
They help with failure a lot.
It's not necessary, but it does.
But you're gonna meet a lot of cool people at cool
Well, it tends
parties.
to relax things.
Yeah, it makes everybody happy.
Yeah.
So
It's social.
yeah, and fruit punch works too. You know?
Yeah, totally. You don't have to drink. It's one of the things.
So anyway, I met these guys, and then a year later they called me, and I actually happened to have moved to LA, and they were like, hey, we're in LA too, and we just got a job. We took over Fox Family Channel, and we want you to make like 15 or 20 shows for us. So I was like, it was 98, I had just moved here, and I spent all my money moving here, because I thought I was going to be working on Space Ghost, and then the Cartoon Network guys were like, yeah, we're going to do Space Ghost in Atlanta. And I was like, motherfuckers, I just moved to LA. So I was like flying back and forth for like 96 and 97. I lived in Chicago, but I was always working in either New York or LA, so I was like, fuck it, I'm moving to LA. And they were like, yo, permanent job, just come here, and no. So I was like, what the fuck? And then those dudes called. The Membrane saved my ass.
The Membranes.
And I came up
It
with
was
like,
hard work and talent.
well, yes.
Yeah.
I pitched 10 shows, and they narrowed it down to 4. Then I did animatics of those 4 shows, and then they picked 2 of them, and I made 2 of them. One of them stars Nick Offerman from Parks and Recreations. So I'm going to put all of them on my website in a month. So you'll have to come to schneppzone.com, plug. Schneppzone.com, plug. And so that's one of my stories of how you can like make things work.
Directing Metal Aqua.
This is the 7th year. I started working on it. I met Tommy's been a friend of mine for like 20 years. Tommy Blatcha, voice of Roxo. There we go. And he's just been a good friend of mine for all those years. And I met Brendan right when those guys came up with the idea, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to design these characters as a show we're pitching?" And that was in 2005. So I designed them, and then I did these 2 music videos for like I think it was like what was it? The Death Clock theme song and this song called "Kill You." So, which later
signed DVDs?
Yeah, I got Brendan signed a regular DVD, and then this new technology DVD.
Nice. We'll take off some.
Yeah. So they're both signed by Brendan and me, and give one to somebody who has a Blu-ray and one to somebody who doesn't. And then my dream came true, doing a comic book. So I'm a fucking super nerd. I'm 4 years old, reading my mom's book as well. And my dream was always to get into doing comics, but I went like so back-ass way to do it, like it's just so weird. And finally to do one, so I'm super excited, and I'm really happy with the way they came out. So giving away 2 of these too. So hopefully we do more of them. So, yeah, I've been doing Metalocalypse for 7 years, almost the same amount of time as the Family Guy, and it's like we were just trading stories back and forth. You know, it's like love, hate, but most of it's love. So you know, it ends up working out. So.
Mr. Tane, I think it's your time to talk. You've been patiently waiting.
Listen, do your own math and learn from the stuff that you are missing. Create your own path with your own vision.